I've seen the industry go from being 100% manual, handwriting tickets, to computers and technology. We do the same, but it's been different all 35 years. Products have changed, but how we do business has not changed. Customers have changed, but the need of our industry has never left.
Mm-hmm.
The ability for customers to be able to bridge the gap from life's challenges is where we come into huge play and what it executes for us.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Jeff Wilhelm. He's the Director of Store Operations at National Pawn. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Glad to have you. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Glad to be on.
Yeah, glad to have you. So Jeff, why don't you start and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Wow, where do I go? Proud graduate of Ohio State University. Brother of 4 other siblings. Married for multiple years with 3 children and 35 years in the pawn industry, and have been so fortunate to see 17 different countries because of this business.
Wow. Tell me more about National Pawn.
National Pawn is a company based out of Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, founded 35 years ago by a gentleman named Bob Moulton, who created a vision of our company, which was change perception of the pawn industry one customer at a time. Over that 35 years, we've grown from 1 store to 23 locations currently in the state of North Carolina, and continuing our path of growth when opportunities come about.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you mentioned, you've been able to see 17 countries because of National Pawn. You've, been in the industry for some years. So talk to me about the growth that you've seen and the changes you've seen in the industry.
Wow. So I've seen the industry go from being 100% manual, handwriting tickets, to computers and technology. The industry has evolved so much. We do the same, but it's been different all 35 years. Which products have changed, but how we do business has not changed. Customers have changed, but the need of our industry has never left.
Mm-hmm.
The ability for customers to be able to bridge the gap from life's challenges is where we come into huge play and what it executes for us.
Mm-hmm.
So the change is dramatic. And then COVID hit, and then that changed the whole landscape of everything. How we had to do business, how we figured out how to do business. And then after COVID, it's the same concept. We've had to reinvent ourselves once again.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 35 years, it's the same, but it's been reinventing every single year for the challenges of the day-to-day efforts of the world that we are in today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I imagine, you mentioned that redoing how business was structured for COVID. I imagine, that change has, been able to affect, like you said, the technology and carrying the technology over into this kind of new post-COVID business.
So correct. I mean, we did things after COVID that we never had to do before COVID. Means it changed our company's landscape for the good. We were able to create a new vision of what we could do and how we could do it, not for just today, but in the future. Mm-hmm. Things that worked in COVID will work post-COVID, but the industry never looked at it that way. It was just how the industry was foreseen. It is a very misunderstood industry. It's heavily regulated. It's actually one of the most regulated businesses out there.
Really?
It is truly an art of the ability to help people versus not helping people. And the industry, yes, unfortunately has a reputation, but that reputation isn't always earned. Sometimes it's just created, and over time we've allowed it. And again, our National Pawn's vision of changing it is, again, changing the perception of the industry one customer at a time is what we're trying to do versus what we did. And that was the same thing with COVID. Mm-hmm. Everybody else did it this way. We went a different way with how we were going to tackle the COVID and what we dealt with and didn't deal with.
Yeah. So talking about what National Pawn does, I mean, I know stereotypically it's a lot of pawning is selling an item, but it sounds like there's a lot more to National Pawn than just that.
Sure. So National Pawn is an organization that provides short-term opportunities of financial assistance for our customer base through leveraging a pawn or leveraging a purchase. Customers have the ability to sell us something or the opportunity to come back. What we do know is that 73% of the customers come back.
Wow.
Means they want their items. They don't want to lose. It's just that's how they're meeting their needs of today. And then the other side of the industry is it's a world of so many amazing opportunities on the value of buying goods secondhand. In today's world, sustainable goods is cool. And the pawn industry has always had sustainable goods. So we provide an opportunity for people to achieve and get things that maybe they could or could not get in other ways. Through our layaway program, through all the other variety of things we have. Our stores are a little different than most. If you would walk into one, you would not know you were in a pawn shop. Our employees are professionally dressed. Our stores are well lit, clean. You would think you're in a jewelry store to start with, even maybe in a retail store in some of our larger locations. Our vision is truly change perception. What you think what we are is not what we are. And we're here to help everyone as much as we possibly can within the framework of what the industry does and does not allow us to do.
Do you think it's that layaway program and that professional standard that you have are some of the reasons why National Pawn is able to stand out from its competition?
Oh, I say gives us a competitive edge. Yes, everyone has layaway and everyone has a culture. The key comes up is that there's 200 hardworking people every day. Without them, I don't exist and wouldn't be on this call. Them executing the vision of what we want to do, which I keep going back, is change of perception. Everyone who's come to work for what they thought who we were versus where we're at. I believe it gives us a competitive edge where our industry is struggling with retail right now. We are not seeing that same struggle. And a lot of that is our layaway. Layaway is free. We don't charge you anything for a layaway. It is you can have up to 10 months to get something out. If you choose not to get it anymore, we'll be gladly refund your money, where our industry maybe as a whole hasn't had that same mindset. We're more customer centric. Everyone says they're customer focused. We like to think we're customer centric. Means we try to do what's right for the customer. Because ultimately that's going to determine how long our business is sustainable. You know, we have this beautiful thing out there. It's called our flywheel, which came from Good to Great. It's about our economic engine. And this is what drives our flywheel, the things that we do each and every day. And if we execute those to the best of our ability, our flywheel will keep spinning. And National Pawn and Jewelry, like I say, was here before I came, will be here after I've left.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned your customers. Do you tend to see trends in the certain, whether it be age, I know you said you guys are in Raleigh. Do you see trends in who tends to interact, pawn, do the layaway with National Pawn?
Per se, every one of our core customers, and we like to say new to pawn is a huge customer that's coming. It means they had never understood, or they're just now getting to understand the value that our industry provides, not just on the money side, but on the retail side. And as you know, the last two generations have always been promoted sustainable, or we're always thrifting. Thrifting is a cool thing in those generations. Pawn shop's just that. I always say pawn shop, our stores or any store, is the old neighborhood hardware store of a long time ago. The person that allowed you cool stuff, a little bit of everything, and that's what we are, and that's what we have. And I truly believe the customer is finding out that while there's so many cool things out there secondhand, and the opportunity is there, and they're embracing that opportunity. It used to be, I would go to a training seminar and they'd say, "What do you do?" And when I would say, people would kind of step back away from me, and then as the days went on, I had a lot of people coming out wanting those stories. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen? And we could talk hours on the coolest thing I've ever seen. But the industry is so unknown, other than the people who use it, which is a small percent of the general population. Our focus is we're trying to do what everyone else is doing. We're marketing to every customer out there who's in the ability to take advantage of what we have, don't have.
Yeah. So I'm curious now, what is the coolest thing you've ever seen?
A 12-foot stuffed grizzly bear.
What?
Coolest thing I've ever seen. Yes.
That's insane. That's so cool.
That was the neatest thing that's ever. I've seen other unique things, like a vintage 1969 Les Paul vintage guitar that was priceless, was Ronnie Van Zant's at one time in his life. But the 12-foot stuffed grizzly bear, I've never seen another one since.
No, and I don't think you probably ever will.
Right.
That's so interesting. So, it sounds, you're talking about new to pawn, kind of targeting everyone with your marketing, but specifically kind of looking at that new to pawn, educating, people who may be, new to the industry. And like you said, I think you said changing the perception of the pawn business one customer at a time. I think that's, that's brilliant. So talking about the growth and all of that, do you hear a lot of common misconceptions about the industry? Is it kind of like you were saying that it's, people would take a step back from you? Would you say that's the biggest misconception in the industry?
Yeah, it has been and always will be. And I would say pawnbrokers earned that right of that reputation over the years. But it's changed. I mean, the industry has changed. The worker has changed. And I would challenge anyone who's listening, if you ever want to go take a good experience, go visit one of our 23 locations. You will walk in and say, wow, I'd never thought it was going to look like this, because we hear that every day. Yeah. National Pawn and Jewelry has the vision of change perception of pawn industry one customer at a time. We can't change the industries. All we can do is change what we provide, which then ultimately helps in changing the industry. Mm-hmm. And new to pawn is a customer who is realized, especially in today, with inflation and where it is today, people out there have the ability to do things. Just life happens to them, whatever that is. And you can get a transaction from me so much easier, so much less hassle, that's fully secure, fully safe, fully everything lined up. And you can't go to your local bank and get that. Mm-hmm. And that's what we provide in our industry. And again, and so many cool stuff. You can, if you're a jewelry lover or or electronics lover or a musician, this is the industry you want to go to first. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many cool treasures that are out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, you raised a really great point that there are so many treasures that, people are able to, like you said, give those treasures to other people through pawn.
Yep. It really is. And, I look at the holiday season and there's so many gifts of the holiday season. One of the things that we like to do in July is do an early promotion. It's called Christmas in July. We'll run a special promo for you to put something in layaway for as little as $5 down to do your Christmas shopping now. And you got 6 months out. So we've been doing that for years, and it just lets our customers have the ability to spread out their lives. And what we know is some of those items were picked up before Christmas because they really want them.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you really do.
That's a really brilliant way to continue to bring in new customers and encourage purchases. So I think that's brilliant. At Christmas in July, that's great. So Jeff, as we start to wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, either about the pawn industry, about changing perceptions, anything that you want to leave our listeners with?
I would say what I would recommend, tell everybody about our industry. If you are finding yourself in need for anything, whether it's financial help or opportunity for something new, check out your local pawn store. It's a phenomenal place to be. It's not as seedy as we once used to think, and especially our stores. And I know a lot of people throughout the country that have phenomenal businesses and phenomenal stores and really make a difference in the neighborhood they're in. Mm-hmm. We have the ability to serve who's ever in our neighborhoods, no matter what your economic lifestyle is, that we can provide an opportunity for somebody, not just even with personal, but even career opportunities. It's out there in our organization as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Brilliant. Well, Jeff, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you, promoting the pawn industry, promoting, coming into one of your locations, seeing, what makes National Pawn unique. I think this was a great conversation, and I appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, great to have you.